This in my hand is the brand new Redmi Note 8 Pro, which offers some incredible specs at a very competitive price point. But is this as good as people are making out to be? Well, in this video, we're gonna find out because I'll be unboxing this, giving you my hands-on first impressions review. We'll be testing out, amongst other things, the camera. Let's get going. Inside the box, it's nice to see Xiaomi have included a free silicone case. Even if you don't use that, it's still included inside the box, as well as the warranty paperwork and the actual device itself. Now we'll take a closer look at that in a moment, but digging deeper, you're also going to get a USB-C sync charge cable and a power brick included as well. Now, in the hand, the first thing that I noticed about the Redmi Note 8 Pro was just how light it felt. Given this has a 4500 mAh battery and that large display, it does feel quite nice in the hand. So taking a closer look around the device, and yes, down at the bottom is a 3.5mm headphone jack next to a USB-C port and the speaker grill. On the right you have the power button and the volume rocker, and then at the top you have a microphone as well as the front-facing camera. Now the front display is actually a pretty nice display. You have a 6.53-inch IPS LCD display. There's no OLED at this sort of price point, but it does a very good job in various lighting. I did find that for most angles, viewing angles, this display really does a good job. I like the way that Xiaomi pushed out the bezels so that you're just left with that teardrop. In certain lighting, the sun does hit it, so it's a little difficult to see, but it's not a bad display. So let's talk about performance. My particular model came with 6GB and you can up that to 8GB. But the chipset that Xiaomi have used on this is interesting. It's a MediaTek chip as opposed to the standard Qualcomm. And this particular chipset is the Helio G90T, and it's aimed squarely at the mid-range segment. And it's supposed to also be gaming centric. Now, MediaTek has been criticized in the past because it's been associated with more of the lower end smartphones, and it has issues around heat and cooling problems. But on this, I really didn't experience any of that. I mean, if anything, during really intensive gaming like PUBG or Asphalt, which is graphic intensive, after about 20 minutes or so, you start to notice the device get warm. Nothing to kind of stop you from playing or, you know, make it uncomfortable. So in that regard, it performs quite well, and it might be another reason why Xiaomi have included internal liquid cooling as well on this device, just to make sure that with gaming it's going to be able to perform. So I think for majority of people, this chipset won't affect them if they're going to be using it for the day-to-day tasks when it comes to social media, and the rest of it. Software wise, this is running Android 9, and it also has MIUI. Now, some people love it, some people loathe it. MIUI can be associated with some bloatware, and it's also associated with a not like stock Android experience, but there are some benefits, like for example dark mode being available even if you're not running Android 10 on your smartphone, so something to be aware of there. For security, on the rear you have a fingerprint scanner which is located just below the cameras. We'll talk about those in a moment. And for the fingerprint sensor, it does a reasonable job. It also has face unlock with 2D mapping, so it's not the most secure, but that option is there as well. Next, let's talk about the other big selling point, and that is when it comes to the cameras, because this has a whopping 5 cameras in total, 4 on the back, 1 on the front. Let's start off with the 4 on the back. To begin with, we've got a 64 megapixel primary camera, which is an f1.9 aperture. The second camera is an 8 megapixel f2.2 wide angle, the third camera being a 2 megapixel f2.4 portrait, and then the fourth camera being a 2 megapixel f2.4 macro. Let me start by saying that 64 megapixel Samsung GW1 sensor in the main camera takes some incredible shots in daylight, and if you don't want to go with those really heavy images, you can opt for the automatic mode. Essentially, you have the option for ultra wide, 1x or 2x options when taking images, with a whole range of different modes like night, macro, slow-mo, video, the whole rest of it. And for the most part, I think the camera does a good job in normal lighting. Where it really struggles are in two areas. I found that the ultra wide shots lacked some detail, and there was a lot of noise and distortion in some of the images taken, particularly in the video which you're about to see, but also when it came to night mode. Now there is an option to have AI enabled, which just enhances all of the images both in daylight and in low light. But what I did find with Xiaomi's version of AI is it just really over exaggerates some of the shots, so you end up looking like you've sort of done some crazy photoshopping to the images, which in some cases is okay, I guess, but in majority of cases it's just going to really blow out the images unnecessarily. Right guys, this is a quick look at ultra wide video. I have to admit, I think ultra wide videos aren't as good as the ultra wide images on the Redmi Note 8, but let me know in the comment section down below what you think. This is video at 1x. I think it does a much better job in terms of stabilization. Still a little dark for the video, and contrast isn't as good as, again, the images are. So for video, this is what 1x looks like. Much better than the ultra wide, but again, let me know in the comment section down below what you think. So in summary, would I recommend this phone? Absolutely yes. I think for the price point and the specs that you're getting, this is going to retail for just around about 900 dirhams, which is an absolute bargain given all those factors. If I was to really pick points, it would have to be mostly around that MediaTek chipset, but you know, for most people this isn't going to be a factor. But I'd love to know your thoughts, so take this opportunity to leave your comments in the section down below. What do you think about the Redmi Note 8 Pro? And if you're new around here, smash that like button, hit subscribe to see more content like this. I'm EMKWAN. Until next time, peace and blessings.